Salutations, dear audience. Prepare to be inspired and empowered as we delve into the realm of business triumph on Elevate Your Business. I'm Ed Jarecki, your host for today's enlightening episode. Thank you for being part of this enriching experience. Our show is dedicated to enlightening and equipping business owners, professionals, and aspiring entrepreneurs like you with essential knowledge and insights from experts who achieve success in their life and business. So today's guest exemplifies this mission. Make yourself comfortable, grab some coffee, and let's extend a hearty greeting to our incredible guest today, Dr. Emily Hoppmann. Dr. Emily Hoppmann is a distinguished veterinarian and owner of Elgin Veterinary Hospital in Elgin, South Carolina. She earned her Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree in 2005, has been recognized in the worldwide who's who for her contributions to veterinary medicine. Her practice specializes in small and exotic animal medicine, and she has a strong commitment to community service, including maintaining a little free library. Emily's academic involvement includes teaching and research with publications in rodent dermatology. As Emily joins us on the show, she'll shed light on what success means to her personally and how her definition has evolved over time, as well as one or two of her top challenges and the associated lessons learned. And finally, for today, we'll explore how Emily has leveraged innovation in her business and other work to overcome challenges and achieve her goals. So join me in welcoming Dr. Emily Hoppmann as we embark on another incredible episode of Elevate Your Business. And without further ado, welcome to the show, Emily. It's great to see you again. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you for having me.
It is my honor, my pleasure. Got to know you some months ago. I love your focus. We've talked a little bit about some of the challenges. So today is really an opportunity to share some of your thoughts and experiences. So to start with, could you share a little bit more about yourself and your business?
Absolutely. I am a solo private practitioner. So it's just me as the doctor. It's still a private practice, not corporately owned. And I have an amazing team that I work with. I was lucky enough in the business I am in to actually take an oath at the beginning of my journey. They have a white coat ceremony your first year of vet school. And as you receive your white coat, you take an oath for the industry. And to me, that is where I go back to with all of my decision making. So, since most of you are not veterinarians and have not taken this oath, I wanted to quickly share it with you. So, being admitted to the profession of veterinary medicine, I solemnly swear to use my scientific knowledge and skills for the benefit of society through the protection of animal health and welfare, the prevention and relief of animal suffering, the conservation of animal resources, the promotion of public health, and the advancement of medical knowledge. I will practice my profession conscientiously, with dignity, and in keeping with the principles of veterinary medicine ethics. I accept this as a lifelong, the continual improvement of my professional knowledge and competence. This is not something I said I could do for a day. This is something I said I will do every day, every hour of every day. And the way I have found success, defined success, tried to figure out ways around issues that have come up in the veterinary field, which has been ever changing over particularly the last decade, that has been something I can go back to and go, what can I do better? How can I improve so that I am helping the most I can possibly do in a day? So my goal is to live that so that I can look myself in the mirror every day and I can go to sleep and sleep well, knowing that I have contributed everything that I possibly could and helped as much as possible.
Oh, that's outstanding. Anything else you'd like to share?
I just find myself very, very lucky to not be on the constraint of a corporate environment, which has put me in a very difficult position being a tiny, small one doctor practice. But again, when I look at that oath, I have so much more freedom to make changes and participate in things like clinical trials that actually both make me better at living my oath and are so helpful for the pets and their parents.
And so you've now been at this journey for quite a period of time. How do you define success today?
Today is very different when I started. When I started, I knew my obligation to my oath. I knew I wanted an environment that wasn't cold and sterile where people were just numbers. I really wanted, as our logo is, where you will always feel at home. I wanted to create that every day for what I look at as my family members, which include my staff. It includes my clients, it includes my patients, and everyone I come in contact with. But I didn't have any background in business. Literally, the only thing they told us in veterinary school was generally, if you buy a practice, you should buy the property. That was it. So I wanted to just be able to do what I wanted in the way that I wanted and make it sustainable. And having been able to be successful for the past decade or so has kind of changed. Now I am working a lot harder to balance the business hat and the clinician hat and the personal hat. Had no idea how many hats I was going to be wearing owning a business. You know, you are the HR department, your payroll, you are the manager, you are everything to everybody. And suddenly you're faced with being responsible for other people's livelihoods and the people they're supporting. So it definitely is much like having a child and then seeing it grow. But finding that balance, maintaining the type of team that I need that has their heart just passionately in it, because I can train anyone. With the staff turnover we're having in our field, with the amount of burnout and emotional fatigue we're facing in this field, and the amount of competition that corporate medicine has brought, because they've got those deep pockets that private practices just don't have. And then fulfilling and growing the clinic in ways that continue to support that oath, continuing to help the advancement of medicine through our clinical trials, get education to our staff, to our clients, to the general public. Education, education, education. You don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what's incorrect. And Dr. Google will have you going from a cold to you're going to die in 3 days if you Dr. Google yourself. And it will do the same thing with you, with your pet. And that's especially true on my exotic side of the world. There's so much misinformation out there that I just really want to be able to make sure I'm educated on the latest and greatest and can pass that on.
And so you've been through this journey. Your definition of success has kind of evolved to the care for your people, your family, your pets. Through that journey, no business journey is without its obstacles. You've alluded to a little bit of that. Can you share one or two of your top challenges and the associated lessons learned?
Personally, for me in business, I am a people pleaser. I want to make everybody happy and be able to say yes all the time. And that is not possible, which has been a giant challenge for me. So again, I reflect back to my oath. I am the voice for the voiceless pet. I am the one who is having to speak up on behalf of that animal that can't speak. So I have to not only understand what my patients are going through, feeling through being able to do diagnostics and physical exams, but I have to be able to educate the owners on all of these diseases and that their pet really is in pain. And, you know, just this one medication will help improve the quality of life. Sometimes people aren't receptive to hearing your pet is in pain and needs this medication daily. It's not something they think is a problem. But as the professional, I can feel the bone on bone movement when I evaluate their joints. I know that this is a need. Or people sometimes just unfortunately want to just get rid of an animal. And that's not something that I'm okay with. I am going to offer any type of help I can so that pet stays having a quality, healthy, great life. So I work with different adoption agencies. I write for a publication that is very, very animal adoption forward. So I've had to learn that it might not always be the popular answer, but my answer always has to come from the place of what does this patient need to have a quality life?
Outstanding. Any other lessons learned you'd like to share?
I think lately, as a lot of consumers are finding out, their practice has been taken over by a corporation. Many of these happen behind the scenes. These are agreements entered into by business owners with corporations where they're handing over the reins, but they are staying on for a number of years, which is allotted by the company that buys them. And then it's not their control anymore. They are having to meet production numbers. They are having to raise their prices. They are having to do what corporate demands. And that takes the culture of a clinic somewhere completely different than private practice, where you are thinking for yourself. You do not have a set of rules or production numbers. You can make the decision that's in the best interest of your pet. You can hire the people. Maybe they don't have the same resumes that other people have, but they have the heart, and you can train the rest. And it has been a giant challenge. Most clinics have gone corporate, and you may have no idea that your clinic is now corporate, and you'll find out slowly over the next few years as that main doctor is faded out and an associate is now in that managing position. I don't think that it is very ethical for clinics to not disclose that they have gone corporate. I think owners need to be asking those kind of questions if they notice a change in the practice culture. I always just am really open to direct conversations with my clients, from are you corporate or are you still private practice, to I don't know that what you think is correct. I think I want a second opinion. Fantastic. Here, do you want me to give you a list of doctors in the area that I respect and think would do great giving you a second opinion? If you'd like to find them on your own, that's great. You want to encourage honest communication. And so a client feels that they can come to you with any question with no judgment, and that they'll get a straight answer and know what sort of situation they are putting themselves in.
So I'm going to move us to the question around innovation, but I'm going to key on what you just shared relative to the competitiveness between corporate entities and the private owned entities. And so when you think about innovation, people, process, technology wrapped in a culture that provides a balance for win-win-win outcomes. Win for the patient, win for the business, win for the employees. When you think about that, what are those differentiators that you can employ in order to combat some of the changes that don't necessarily align with the value system as you interpret it from the oath that you took?
That is definitely a huge innovation, because deep pockets, they have a lot of advanced equipment that we don't have. They have a lot of money to spend on technology. So it makes my decision making with what technology important for me to incorporate something I have to think about. So I have invested a lot of time into training with the ultrasound machine, purchasing an ultrasound machine, so I can offer that same fast care system as far as evaluating traumatic injuries, looking for bleeding in the abdomen, all the way to little things where you've got a very dehydrated patient, you're having trouble getting that IV started. So ultrasound to me was something that I could provide a personal touch. It was something that owners were seeking out these days. And it was something that could be as big or as little of an impact at my clinic as I wanted it to be. Because to me, my care at a private practice is going to be above and beyond what you're going to get at a corporation, because I think it's important to know how my clients want me to partner with them. Some people don't want any part of making decisions. They say, you're the expert, you tell us what to do. Others really want to understand the why behind things. And there's just not time for that in corporate medicine. The exam times are cut so short. We have 30-minute exam times so we can get to know our clients, their likes, their dislikes. Who's the primary caretaker of this animal? Is it your 12-year-old daughter and you'd like me to speak to her as the primary because she's saving up her allowance and making these changes, and you're trying to educate her? Do I need to get on a conference call with the whole family to go over things? You just don't have time for things like that when you've got your next appointment going. And so in a lot of those situations, they don't have estimates for owners. They don't have an option B. They just have, this is what you're going to do. And yes, diagnostics are unbelievable, but do all diagnostics need to be done at the same time for every patient? I just don't think that I can ethically say that every patient I see needs full blood work and a urinalysis and an ultrasound and x-rays. So I'm able to work in a more step-by-step fashion, which is easier on my clients financially. It also allows us to develop a pathway as we find out more and more about that patient. So I have the time to do that. I have the ability and knowledge to do that. And also, I'm able to educate. I don't have corporate printouts. I have hundreds and hundreds of handouts that I've written over the years, or I've written articles about over the years, that I can provide to my clients so they have something to refer back to. If they're going into a corporate clinic that's got 10 minutes for them, they're going to retain nothing. And they're going to walk away and go, what? They said something about the knees. I don't understand. Whereas with us, we can show them on diagrams. I can send a paper home so they know what this disease is, what to watch for, how worried to be. And I think people need that and deserve that attention, that one-on-one time. And that's something that corporate just can't give.
There were a number of things that you stated in there, and what I heard is your differentiator is really the depth of the care as well as the ability to provide cost-effective, timely solutions, not maximize the focus on for-profit by shortened diagnostic timeframes, by trying to throw everything but the kitchen sink into whatever diagnostics that they're performing. And then the other thing that I heard is very smart, focused investment on those key technologies that are important for your business and your clientele. Is that a fair way to
Yes,
summarize that?
that sounds better than I could say it.
As you're talking, I was like, oh man, I'd love to see some data around this relative to the differences in my pet visits the vet, similar circumstances between a private practice and a corporate practice. And by the way, I think our local veterinary has gone corporate because I've seen a lot of the changes that you've talked about. We've seen the prices go up. We've seen their practices more consolidated to try to get you. So our bills have gone up quite a bit, but I would love to see some data around some of those differences. At the end of the day, those corporations are there and they're very short-term focused. So it's all going to be about the money.
Yes. And I see in the future there will be a giant wave of both people not tolerating being treated as a number in a very sterile field, sterile environment, to also explain why your vaccine went up $25 from last month. Whereas we absolutely have to increase prices. We are a business. Any vet would love to do this for free. If all of us won the lottery, every pet would be taken care of, I promise. But we do have to pay our staff and keep our overhead in order to provide care. But at the end of the day, their numbers are going to look great compared to mine because their focus is fast. It is kind of, let's get everything done that we can get done today done. So the approach is just different. There are some corporations that are much better than others. I have most of my friends that are my age have sold and have either retired since then or they're still the managing presence, but they don't hold the cards anymore and they feel like they've just lost everything that made up the integrity of their hospital.
So you've got some definite insight from connections from the relationships you've got across your field. Outstanding. So if you're to offer our guest one takeaway that they really must consider as part of their business journey to achieve what they've defined as success for themselves, what would that be?
One takeaway: change is the only constant that you are going to have when you are running a business. So you need to stay grounded in the why. Why did you become a business owner? Why did you take on this baby that is taking 24/7 care? And you've got to be able to come back to that and really passionately believe in that because as you've spoken about, technology is always changing. What we know is best for our pets is always changing. What we have available as far as treatments is changing. The landscape, corporate wasn't even heard of 15 years ago, really. All of those things are going to change. Your staff is going to turn over. There's going to be veterinary shortages like we have now. And you have got to go back and say, okay, this is my oath. Am I still following that? And do I still love what I do? Or do I need to pivot back toward the source of your love and your passion?
And that oath, I kind of liken it to a business's vision and mission, where they've set the parameters and their values and how they've set that up. And are they using that as a filter to guide them in their decision-making process? And when that doesn't seem to fit anymore, do they revisit it? Now, for you, you've got your oath that never goes away. But a business owner that doesn't carry that oath with them and they follow their vision, mission, and values, then it's important to always consider that in that decision-making process. Is that a fair way to characterize that?
Absolutely. I think that if you can stay true to your logo, our catchphrase, like I said, for us, it's where you'll always feel at home, to your clinic or your business's mission statement. Ours is no knowledge ranks superior or higher than another. Each is judged by its contribution to the common task. So you have to be set up as a team. This does not work to just have one person. So if I can make sure I'm still providing that environment, I'm still providing that team, and we are all working towards the oath, then I can keep every decision in check and not feel like I'm wavering in some gray zone. I've got to stay true to myself, and I have to be a leader for other people to see and emulate that are working with me and for me. So that's a little bit of my takeaway as being a business owner.
Any other final thoughts?
Get to know your community, get out there. As he mentioned, we now have a free little library in the front. We picked one charity that was a local charity, and they also happen to be our clients. And we take care of Six, the adorable dog that goes along with them. I have a publication that comes out quarterly that I work on for free that's all about education for the community. So I think you've got to get out there. You've got to make sure you are passionate and not just passively hoping that you're going to contribute something, but actively going out there seeking opportunities to provide education and improve standards.
And support the community. I love that. I want to thank you all for joining us today, and a special thank you to our incredible guest, Dr. Emily Hoppmann, for sharing her insights, experiences, and success tactics with us. We hope this conversation has left you inspired and motivated to embrace the challenges of entrepreneurship with vigor, innovation, and adaptability. Remember, success comes in many forms, and it's essential to define it for yourself. Take the lessons shared by Emily to heart as you navigate your own entrepreneurial journey. Embrace change, seek out opportunities for growth, and always be willing to adapt to the ever-evolving landscape of business. Thank you once again to our phenomenal guest speaker, Dr. Emily Hoppmann, and thank you all for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next time as we continue exploring the stories behind incredible entrepreneurs. Stay resilient and stay innovative, and have a wonderful day, everybody.